Very good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. And this is our first live streaming on. It will be live stream on LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time. And we would request your comment and suggestion during the event. And if you have like any reflection, you can share. You can share in your comment, and you can also share through your messages. Yeah, uh, I'm Rakesh Singh. We conduct this growth talks with Rakesh. It is the objective of this growth talks to invite experts from different fields and industries who can share their insight about their experience and in their career and life, and the way they can also make some changes in people's life. So that with their experience and insight we can be benefited. And on this second episode, our topic is it's never too late to change your life. So just to brief about this topic, in this session, in this live session, we will have gain some practical insights about uh, when we can change our life and why we can start afresh, irrespective of our circumstances and our age, and learn how to manage, like how to address this disbelief and doubt in our life, and and some of the techniques that we can use while we want to make a great change, a new change in our life. And another aspect is, as we talk about the support system, what is the importance of support system, which can help us so making a change in our life and career. And we will also have a Q&A session. So for the Q&A session, you can ask the questions through comments, and or you can message me directly. That so I will take this question with the our guest speaker. So I'm very happy to introduce with my our guest speaker, Miss Praveena Pramod. She is a executive and life coach presently. She has several years of in-depth experience in the corporate sector in finance, but she has transitions, made a great transition from corporate sectors to life coaching and executive coaching. So, and nowadays she is also helping many individuals and professionals to bring some positive changes in their career and life to align with their purpose in life. So, very warm welcome to Ms. Praveena Pramod. I'm very happy that you accepted this invite and joining us today. So I will just briefly request you if you want to say a few words from your side, then we can start with the session. Thank you. Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Rakesh, for those wonderful words of introduction. Yes, from corporate life to coaching, it's been quite a journey for me, and I am really excited about sharing my experiences here. And I can't thank you enough for choosing me to come and speak about this topic. I think without wasting much time, let's just get into it. What do you say?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. So so like we will just start with the topic. So
Yeah.
what what when did you get this realization that it may be from your life, and you can also relate with the general public life, general people. So what you could relate the about the realization of this, it's never too late to do something new thing in life or career. How do you relate with this topic, and what is your insight and interpretation? Yeah, that's the
Well,
basic question then. Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Rakesh. Relating to the topic comes from just jumping into it, relating to this whole
Yeah.
transition. See, I've always believed that we have only this one known life and we've got to live it to our best. But, understanding that at a deeper level and acting on it are completely different things. I'm sure everybody will agree to that. Well, my change happened soon after COVID when personal commitments demanded that I focus more on them than on my corporate life. So, making that decision was not easy for me. Transitioning from an adrenaline rush that came from a fast paced day to waking up in the morning wondering what I was going to do, that was not a comfortable feeling at all. In fact, I am aware that if I had allowed myself, I could have probably spiraled straight into a pit of self pity. And I did. For a brief period, I did wallow in self pity. I allowed myself that pit and then pulled myself out of it, because what really helped me at that time was to start documenting what I was feeling. I did a lot of typing work. I'm not much of a paper pen person. I type a lot. And I started documenting my thoughts, my feelings, things I would like to do. I went back in time to when, there were times when I would have thought, oh, I wish I could do that or something. I started documenting everything. It didn't happen overnight. It took a whole of 3 months before I got some clarity. And once that happened, there was no looking back. Let me tell you that. There was absolutely no looking back. So I was all of 55 when I went back to studying. I certified myself with an organization that is accredited to the International Coach Federation. I did a few more certification programs, started building a network, sought the support of my old connections, and thanks to them, I was able to get started on my coaching journey and set up a coaching practice. So I firmly believe there's never a right time to make the change. The right time is when you act. So I think that's when it
Yeah.
all happened.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Actually, with that experience, we can also correlate that how we feel after a, long duration of career, and when we introspect ourselves, then we also actually realize what we really want. And the one practice that you mentioned, that you have been you kept writing what you were feeling, and I think this is like one of the good technique, that what, just jot down what you are feeling, because there are multiple feelings, multiple expression, that those also sometimes change time to time. So when we document it, so we have this a long list of expression, feelings, and based on that we can further identify and streamline and work on that, identify what we really want, what 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 really aligns with our purpose in life or our passion. Is my voice clear? I think it is a little bit breaking at my end. Or
It is breaking a little, Rakesh. It is breaking a little. Yes.
okay, so I think the platform does not want me to speak more. So yeah, I will invite you for more on talking and speaking with our audience. Yes. So
Absolutely.
thank you. So that was a brief reflection. So, and based on that I would ask you, because I have come across some of the like professionals and individuals who are in their mid career, like having 15, 20 years of experience, and they have a certain way of life and career, whether they are in business or whether they are doing a job in corporate, on social impact or whatever sector, and they think that why, like, is it safe to change a path in our career or life, and they sometimes hesitate. And also, uh, I would request to throw some light on, like, the individual who has just started his or her own career, or maybe with a few years of experience, why she should think like this to align whether they are going in the right direction, and they have to introspect to what to expect from their life, just from the mid career profession, and also from the perspective of the newcomers, because our audience is, diversified, so we want to do justice with the complete audience. Thank you.
That's a lovely question, Rakesh. And my answer would be the same for somebody who's starting out, and somebody who is midway through their career, and somebody who is seriously advanced, like I was. Ask yourself the question, do you want the change? I mean, the choice is yours to make. It's not for anybody else to tell you you have to change. So if you think you should change, and that thought can be driven by several things, maybe you're feeling dissatisfied. Maybe there are lots of, long suppressed passions and interests that you'd like to explore. Maybe you're nearly facing a burnout, or maybe you've joined an organization that is toxic. Everybody's talking about toxic environments and how one shouldn't stay there for too long to safeguard your mental health, etc. So there could be umpteen reasons why, you know, change may be necessitated. Again, it should come from within you that you want to make a change. And the minute you decide that you want to make a change, then you know growth is just waiting to happen. Yeah. So the first thing with change is accept that you want to make a change and embrace that growth mindset. Because with change comes a lot of uncertainties, and you've got to be up there willing to accept that and have that growth mindset, which will help you see opportunities and learnings in everything that you do. Secondly, I would say understand your purpose. Don't just change for the sake of change. Understand why you're doing it. And that is your purpose. I mean, why are we having this conversation? Why are we doing something that we're doing? Because it adds something to us. It does something for us. It speaks to us. It speaks to our values. It speaks to something that we hold very close to us. So understand why we are doing it, right? Think long term also. You're probably thinking, okay, at this age I'm going to retire and this is what I want, etc. Don't lose sight of that. Think long term, and then remind yourself that staying in an unfulfilling, sorry, slip of tongue,
Yeah.
unfulfilling career may be a risk to even achieving that, right? Look at the risks and rewards, right? What if you didn't make that change? What do you stand to lose, or what do you stand to gain? Analyze that yourself, and only you can do that. And I would always say, don't even dream of taking, actually you can dream, but I would suggest that you don't expect to take a huge leap. Yeah, take small steps. You can take a huge leap of faith to take that small step forward. Take small steps, yeah, and see how it's going, see how you're liking it, adjust to it. Financial planning is important whenever one is making changes. I Coming from a finance and accounting background, I would say always work with a little buffer. I'm very big on, I would always tell my children this. My husband also would say this to the children: make sure you have food on the table, a roof over your head, and a sustainable living. So make sure there's a little buffer when you're planning these changes that gives you the comfort to actually move forward. Experiment and explore. You would have umpteen different interests, right? Explore them, experiment them, research them. See if you have skills that you can transfer. For instance, your interpersonal skills, it could be your communication skills, your project management skills. There could be umpteen skills. Maybe you are a very positive person. You can speak a lot on positive reaffirmations, etc., etc. So, explore them, see what you can make, how you can integrate that into what you're already doing, till you can actually jump into that full scale. Update your knowledge. I think there is never an end to learning. There is never an age for when learning stops. Every day is learning. You can learn from everything. And there are so many free, so resources available. Tap into it. Networking is very important, especially if you have identified areas of interest. Then I would say, attend webinars. There are so many of these industry specific events that happen. Network with like minded people. That could help you a lot in, kind of reaffirming whether, what you are looking at is exactly what for you. And reflect on alternatives also. Consider the regret that you may feel if you don't try the change, right? Sometimes, the cost of inaction could be a powerful motivator for us. Most important, self care. Manage yourself, be kind to yourself. I would strongly advocate some mindful practices. I know when we talk mindfulness, the first thing that comes to mind is meditation. Now, meditation was not for me, let me be honest. I took to yoga. So I'm big on breath works, pranayam. Then I started some physical exercises. For instance, I took an interest to trekking. So I would do a lot of local treks. And last year I did a trek to the Everest Base Camp as well. So what happens is it builds your mental resilience as it does your physical resilience. And during any change, mental resilience is the one thing that will really stand you in good stead, because you know that everything is not going to be a bed of roses, right? Your path is not going to be smooth. If it is smooth, then great. Otherwise, be prepared that you're going to be having ups and downs. Let me give you a personal example. The one thing that hit me with my change when I made the change was being rejected. The number of no's that I've had from prospective clients actually had me sitting down and thinking maybe this is not the place for me. The first time somebody said no, I remember breaking down afterwards. Of course, in the in privacy, not letting anybody see it. I was like, what is happening? Why am I letting myself into this? But then, it is you have the mental resilience to say, okay, this one is no. I'm sure a lot of no's are going to be followed by the yeses. It just cannot be no's. And here's where your support system comes into play for you. You have those people who you trust, who have your back, who are non-judgmental, who are there for you all the time. They can be a huge supporter of you when you're going through these kind of huge life changes. And in my own case, I must tell you, my family and some of my close friends have been a huge support. My family, my sons and their partner, and my husband, I think they have always believed that I can never fail. Even if I see a few failures, that's just a start. I would be successful at everything I do. So anytime I'm feeling low, I kind of visualize their faces, and that is enough to charge me up. So support system is very important, and be resilient. I mean, what's one or two failures? Learn from it. I think that's the mindset one should get to. Yeah. I think that just about covers everything I wanted to say on this.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, even like you have in this sharing, you have already covered so many of aspects. So it's a very good point that you have. First thing, just I want to also reflect on that. You also mentioned that don't something like that. You don't regret if you want to try something, try it out. So in my very basic understanding, I say don't leave a if in your life. Like if I would have done this, if I would have like talked to someone to or manage our relationships, if I would have tried something for our career. So don't leave a if in your life. First thing, try it. Even if you fail it, you will be happy that you have tried from your side. Yeah. And
That's a
another
great
aspect.
point. Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
mean to
please.
interrupt.
No, no, please. Yeah. Yeah. So, and another just like you have mentioned about the support system, you have also given a very good example of your family. But I have like came across and interacted with many of my clients and also the people in general life, where actually the family is sometimes the family is the crux of the problem. So So I just want to like request and have your insight. Like if someone is not having such type of support system in family from the loved ones or the close ones, I think, in my limited understanding, so I believe that he or she can also explore to get some support from outside of the system, because you have very well mentioned about the non-judgmental attitude and approach of the individuals. And sometimes when we approach people who are our close ones or who knew our family, ourselves from the many years, sometimes they have a judgmental approach. So, what based on my experience, what I could like suggest that it could be some professional, like a professional life coach or something like that, a psychologist or someone professional, and there could be also someone in maybe your colleague, maybe your friend, maybe someone you came across in a social gathering with whom you have this your mental status matching and your equation is matching with him or her. So you can, if you identify such person, that could be also one person who can support you. And also, like sometimes we are just dying that someone listen to me. We don't want any resolution of our problem, but we want that someone listen to me and listen to like someone who is really suffering with some pain, and that also helps. So such type of support system can surely help. So this is my brief reflection. Yeah, you can please do that. Yeah.
Mentioned several points, some related to our topic, but some related to the larger support that is actually required for everybody, whether you're going through a major life change or not. The importance of having that right support. Now, going to the first one of regret or what if, this just brought to mind a LinkedIn post from somebody else yesterday, where I kind of liked it very much, because what it basically said was success sits at the other end of what if. What if is a regret. You just cross that what if. Success sits on the other side of what if. You're right. Never live to regret. So you're trying something while you still hold on to what you have is probably the best way for a lot of people to go, which means the risks that you're taking are limited as well. You're giving yourself that bandwidth to actually explore what else you can do while holding on to something that you have. This will require some serious time management, setting boundaries, like saying no to certain things, and being brave enough to explore the stuff that you want to do. Now, coming on to support, I fully get what you say about family not being supportive, and there are several cases like that. You and I were talking a little earlier, Rakesh, and I actually mentioned to you one doctor that I follow on LinkedIn, whose story I particularly like. Now, this is a girl from Manipur who moved to Bangalore to become a doctor. She qualified as a doctor, and then she took to content creation and branding and works with some of the leading brands in the world. She's made a name for herself. She had absolutely no family support for this transition. And you can imagine why. Somebody going from a career like, a medical field into something like branding and content creation, where there are a lot more uncertainties. She's made it on her own steam. And how? Because of the support system that she created for herself. Friends, people in the same profession, and yes, coaches, therapists, some who are completely overwhelmed by emotions. Pure coaching or having a friend to talk to alone may not be enough. Maybe you need something more than that. Maybe you need a therapist. Seek the support that you need. I mentioned that my family, because they are my biggest champions. But having said that, I can tell you I have some fantastic support in fellow coaches. We have peer to peer coaching sessions where I bring in a lot of what's happening with me in my head onto the platform, and I have my fellow coaches helping me. And I have an alumni group that I go to every Thursday, where I get a lot of support from. I have friends, I have very well meaning friends who are really proud of everything that I do and stand by me. Now, you did mention that family, friends, they will judge at some point. They don't necessarily have to be that way. Not everybody is judgmental. I think that mindset is slowly changing. You just have to check it out. So, seek the support that you need. Don't just rely on one. It is who you trust, who you're comfortable to speak to. Coming back to your point of certain people who just want an active listener, who just want a ear to listen to, as against, somebody who's listening and immediately pouncing forwards with advice. Several cases are like that. And I have met a lot of those people through various coaching conversations where halfway through a session, I realize that what they want to do is to just talk, to talk and have somebody quietly listen to them and empathize. Yes, that is also important. And that could be a start for opening up the mind for greater changes. So perhaps this person who's talking to you is somebody who's never been listened to, probably has wonderful ideas, innovative ideas, or, thinking out of the box. These people could do well to just have that year. So I do a lot of that as well, which um, is a part of my coaching clientele and also outside of that. And I can completely validate that that is very, very important. With so much of advice going around, with everybody being an expert at everything, I think a lot of us have lost the ability to actually listen to understand. Yeah, and when you're listening, you're not just listening to the words that are being said. You're listening, you're watching the facial expressions, you're watching the body language. Yeah, there's a lot that is unsaid that needs to be heard. So active listening is I cannot stress enough the importance of active listening, especially in today's fast-paced world. Yeah, those are some of my thoughts on what you reflected back to me, Rakesh. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah. Sorry.
You were on mute.
So yeah,
Never mind. All good fun and games.
yes. So actually, sometimes what happens that people doubt themselves. That okay, Praveena has done this thing, Rakesh has maybe some other good influential people has done this, but they they think that what if they tried? Yeah. So sometimes they hesitate, and like based on that, like you have reflected as you reflected upon that they should understand that what they really want in their life, in their career, and based on that, they should try to make small steps, like you have mentioned, that have a big like inspiration, motivation, and ambition, something like this, and take small steps towards that. And based on that, they can slowly graduate because it's not about that whatever steps you take is a perfect step, but the steps that you take is a mode of like in form of experimenting and exploring that will give you a good direction and understanding that how you can proceed further. So thank you for your understanding. I would also request your audience that if they have any question, they can post in a comment, and they can also share their reflection. Any uh, like yeah, I think the Ms. Kamini C has mentioned that you have already responded that not everyone is top business man's kids and something, so it's bumpy for many. So I think you have already addressed this thing. So thank you, Kamini. And Chirag Dev also mentioned in his comment that the advice that you is giving is being liked, and they like the advice you have given. So Yeah, so
Can I just
keep posting.
interrupt you for a minute, Rakesh? I
Yeah,
just want to interrupt you for a minute because something you said a little earlier about doubts kind of struck a thought in me. Because
yeah,
doubts and fears are something that is a normal human emotion. So I don't think we should be afraid of it. We shouldn't be shy of accepting that we have our doubts, we have our fears, we are human. So it's quite natural. And, whenever there is a change or whenever we're planning to do something new or it's a new thought or anything, there are a few doubts that will come into our minds. And the first one, the most obvious one, is a fear of failure, right? I think if you're not expecting an overnight success, I know there are many people who've had overnight successes. Take small steps, learn from every failure. I mean, I'm going to repeat myself now. The number of no's that I've had and I continue to get from prospective clients, I guess they're no longer prospective. Hopefully they'll come back. uh, I've just kind of learned from it, learned how to represent myself. And I think one should just accept that and learn from it. Look for the other thing is whether people will support your thought or not. Fear of kind of voicing that this is something that I want to do, right? Fear that people may not support you. Unless you try it, you will never know, right? And the ones who don't support you are obviously not part of your support circle. You find that right support, or say, oh, I would like to do this, but I don't think I can do it. How can I spend that money, or how can I invest this time in it? Hey, start small. There are lots of free resources, lots of things you can do at your own pace, at your own time. Give it a thought. The worst thing one can do is to procrastinate, waiting for that right time. Like I said, the timing is never right till you start taking action. That's the right time. Yeah. And
yeah,
resisting the change. You have these battles in the mind. Should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Don't resist the change. Go with the thought and understand why you want the change. You got to understand yourself first. You have to understand why you want the change. And that change you may be wanting because it is talking to your inner purpose, your why, what gives you the best life, what you want out of life. So understand that. And look for motivation, be positive, think positive. You be positive, everything will turn positive. I firmly believe in that. I don't just believe in positive affirmations, actions to follow positive affirmations. Only then it
yeah.
will work.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I think there is one, one reflection and question from Kamini. Uh, Praveena, are you able to look at the comment or? Yeah. So,
No, I
okay,
can't. No.
I'm looking. So, Kamini is asking that how do people decide whether to continue on the same path, facing challenges, or leave the path and try something else? Keep trying versus facing challenges and move ahead. Yeah,
I think I absolutely love this question. This is something that I have mulled over several times. When I thought of taking coaching and getting into the line of coaching or going back into corporate, though I knew I would have to do that in a slightly different format. Say it's a choice one makes. Ultimately, there is a time for reflection and a time to ask yourself what you want in life. Why, if you are asking whether you should change, that means there has been a thought in the mind that something has to change. Ask yourself why that thought has come about, what brought that thought. And I tell you, the best way is to document these things, because the mind is such, we flit from one to the other and we tend to forget, and that sense of discomfort continues. I would suggest you document it. Document why that thought for change has come, what else could you do to get rid of that thought, and what you could explore doing. Have some kind of clarity over there. Again, I don't say take the risk immediately. Like I said, hold on to what you have and then work through what will work for you. There is no need to jump into anything. And how one makes that switch is when you're absolutely clear about it. And that may happen in 3 months. It happened to me in 3 months. It may take 6 months. I know of people who've waited a whole year till they decided what they wanted to do. But when they did that, they were quite sure of what they wanted to do. Again, your purpose does not have to stay constant right through. Like, I remember I wanted to be a librarian. um, I love books. I've bought books. You can see a lot of books
Yeah.
behind me. None of them are self help books. Let me tell you, they're all fiction. But yes, I wanted to be a librarian, and then it changed into being something else. I always wanted to be a writer, but I didn't know how to do that. And then how to get into writing? Where do I start? How do I start? Do I start a blog? I absolutely didn't know. And then when I moved on to coaching, I had this opportunity. I had to sell myself, right? I was building a network. I was building connections, etc., etc. That was not enough, and I was absolutely not willing to spend money on marketing. I said I was doing it all by myself, so I said, let me start writing. And so the writer in me blossomed, and now I write. I'm like an avid writer. I write and I write. I write every day, and I comment and I write. So these are some of the things that I think will work. Ultimately, there is no one formula. It's not like a magic pill, right? You take it out of this bottle, pop it in, and it works for you. No, it doesn't. It's to each one, it works differently. You just have to try. These are just suggestions. I hope I answered the question. If I haven't, ask me the question again.
And thank you for the answer. I think you have ex- uh, explained it in a very holistic manner. And like on the just what you have said is just a reflection on what you have shared. That actually what happens that when we are like someone is in a job and he or she has some other passion to follow, so sometimes they hesitate. So I think then they can do that. They can go ahead with your job because they have certainly their financial commitment and liability, family liability and responsibilities. So they can continue with their current job, and on the and on the same line they can also work on their passion, what they like you have mentioned about. And then over a period of 3 months, like it took 3 months for Praveena, and then it may take 6 months or 9 months or 1 year more than that. So I think, and the other thing is like just a reflection that we are very few are very fortunate to do that they really like, you know, if we talk about working in our life. So what happens that either you do what you really like, one thing, then foremost thing and most most appropriate thing. Another thing is you keep doing something with your work that you like, because it will keep you enthusiastic, it will keep you motivated, positive, and it will also, beautify your life and also your current job and career, whatever you are pursuing. So that way it will certainly help. And when you are really sure that you can switch, then you can you can switch full time to your new career. And just to also mention, we have focused more on about the career shift and all that, but it's not only about the career. Maybe it's not limited. I would say it's not limited about the career. It's also like you are having your relationship with your wife, with your family. So can you do something new to beautify that relationships, to make it more enriching? So anything, so on life context and relationship and other aspects, like if you have been like quite feeling to do something like music, any passion and games, you just do it. So make any change. So it's not just limited to career, it's not limited to life, it covers all aspects of our career in life.
You're
So
spot
that's a
on.
brief.
What you said is lovely. I mean, absolutely relevant and very true. Transition is not just in career. Transition is in life. Life transitions, and by the way, the various aspects of life will transition along. So what you said is absolutely right, Rakesh. Spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So, like you have already mentioned some of the example, like you have mentioned the example of Sonia. Would you like to mention any other example that the mid-career example that person had changed? Because what happens that when we have like a person is in their 40s and 50s, sometimes that we have already passed a good career, a long career. How can it? We are very habituated and like we have also a comfort zone to work in, so why should we think about like making some changes or something like this? So what are your like suggestion, and can you please share any such example that that our audience can could relate to? Yeah.
The question of why should you not change? Is there an age for everything? I mean, these are limitations that we place on ourselves. Who's placing it on us? We are placing these limitations on ourselves. Let me tell you, give you a story from my own coaching practice. So I had an IT professional who came to me. He was working, he is still working for a startup. So, in a startup, you've got to be the jack of all trades and the master of all. So he was not only the brain behind, the design, but then he was fronting it with the customer. He was implementing it, follow-ups, etc., etc. So he came to me with challenges on confidence and communication. Okay, that's where we started. Through the coaching journey, while we explored, we questioned. Again, this is where you see the importance of asking yourself why. Why are you living the life you're living? Why are you working? Why? What does it do for you? When I say why, the second half of the question is what does it do for you? What does it give you? Does it speak to your inner self? Yeah. So we got to that point of why, where we discovered there was this latent sportsman hidden inside, and that was a childhood passion which he kind of gave up for the sake of a career, family, etc., etc. He relocated countries and he restarted his career and he was where he was. And then we worked slowly through. And when this person started talking about it, his face literally lit up. You could see the passion ooze out of the eyes. It was like suddenly, reliving those moments when he used to be this wonderful player. And I'm not mentioning the sport, but
Mhm.
a wonderful player and the championships he had won, and how he feels he couldn't continue with it. And we worked on how he could holding this job, this time consuming but exciting job that was invigorating to his mind and gave him a lot, with his passion for sports. And 6 months in, and he sends a picture with him holding a trophy up. Yes, so he's managed to integrate both. This is a small story. It may not
Yeah.
sound like a life-changing moment to the listeners, to some of the listeners, but to this person who it happened to, it is life-changing. I'm going to quote another personal example without his permission. Somebody very, very dear to me, chartered accountant, been a CFO right through his life, right? Did some major IPOs in the London Stock Exchange, etc., etc. Suddenly shifted to a corporate role, and a very hands on technical corporate role, because got a taste of that, decided that that is what he wanted. While he was holding on to his present position, he continued learning a lot more in that particular field of healthcare. I can mention that it's healthcare, and went on to an operational role at the age of perhaps 56 or 57. This is somebody very, very close to me. So that's a real example. If you want examples from around the world, we spoke about this earlier. KFC, everybody
Yeah.
knows KFC. But how many people know the story behind KFC? The guy was not a chef or a cook or a, he didn't know anything about the secret recipe behind KFC. In fact, he's apparently held several jobs. He was a farmer, he was a fireman, he was an insurance salesperson, and well into his 50s he started frying chicken and serving it at a Kentucky service station. And that's when he then developed that secret recipe of his, and he's a huge success story. And if you are on a spiritual journey, then there is one closer to home. The founder of the the organization of Krishna consciousness, the founder of the
mm,
Krishna movement worldwide. Yeah, he was 69 before he started that International Society of Krishna Consciousness.
mm,
I'm talking of Swami Prabhupada, who went to New York,
mm,
I think late 60s or so, and he was a chemist. He was a Sanskrit
mm,
scholar also, but he was a chemist. So I mean, these
mm.
are people. If if we want examples, we have examples all over.
Yeah,
We have to
correct.
have the mindset to look at it in that manner. And if you want examples, and if all of you are active on LinkedIn, there are many people. I know I speak to somebody who is an engineer. He's a project manager, he's an engineer, but he writes such wonderful inspirational posts on LinkedIn. I am sure he will move to that at some stage. He's just
Mm,
feeling the ground right now. And he is building a beautiful community, a huge network. So success
yeah,
stories are plenty. You have
yeah,
to have the mindset to see it. It's a
yeah.
choice you
Thank,
make.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Even because in all countries, and even in India, we are very fond of Bollywood movies. So I just remember one example of Boman Irani. I think, as I
Ah,
remember, if I am not mistaken, that he has started his acting career in his mid 40s. So earlier he was running some bakery, and he decided to pursue his career in acting in his mid 40s. And now he's a well-known actor. We all know Boman Irani is a very good excellent actor.
yeah.
So yeah. So
There are several such success stories. Look at the US. You had Ronald Reagan. He was a film star, and then he got into politics. Obviously, there was an interest somewhere. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, they've all made these changes. He continued with his movie life while he was the governor. So there are stories
yeah,
all over. There are
yeah,
stories all around. And your own story could be the biggest. In my world, in my life, mine is the biggest success story. I think I love my story of change, which is why I'm a strong advocate of change at any time in your life. I say there is no right time. You make that right time and you make it work for you. Doesn't matter what the hurdles that you face along the way. You will face hurdles. What is life without hurdles? Otherwise it would become boring, right? And you would
yeah,
become complacent and you would just stagnate. Change is the name of the game. I think it would serve us well to accept that and move on and see what works for us. Let's not sit with what will not work for us or what we think will not work for us. Let's just see
yeah,
what will work for us and let's move forwards.
yeah. Thank you. And in interest of time, because now we are left with around 8 to 9 minutes. So what I will do that I have got a question. It's and I will ask that question. Then I would also want to just touch one part of your life that you shared with me about like trekking. So
Oh,
would
yeah.
like to yeah, have your like insight and experience, and then I would request to brief all the audience about some of the key approach that they can take. You have already spoken, but just as a key takeaways you can mention. So the question that I have got is especially we call it FOMO, and
Sorry?
especially we call it FOMO, fear of missing out.
Ah, FOMO. Okay.
Yeah, FOMO. Yeah. So I think there is a little bit disturbance in my volume from my side, but I will try to improve it in the another episode. So the question is how to address this FOMO, because especially in the younger generation, sometimes they are driven away by they are not willing to do something they don't really like, but they are going around with the fear of missing out. That if we don't do that, I will be missed. Sometimes they ignore the true sense and what they really like and what is really useful for their life and career. So just any, if you have any reflection on that.
FOMO is something I hadn't thought of. But what do you fear missing? See, one thing I would advise youngsters is to avoid a herd mentality. Somebody is doing that, so I've got to do it. Somebody is doing that, I've got to do it. You would reach mid-career, mid-life, and then you've done this, that, because it's not because you wanted to do it, because somebody else was doing it and you followed it, and it didn't work for you because it's not for you. So how do you avoid FOMO? I don't know how you avoid FOMO, as long as you are clear in your mind as to why you're doing something. There has to be a reason why you're doing it. No, I'm doing it just like that. There is no just like that. There is a reason why everybody is doing something. Something is driving it. Ask yourself what that is. And if that speaks to that particular action that somebody else is doing, then go try experiment it. Nothing wrong. Try a few of those, but then learn quickly, learn lessons from it. Don't sit back and say, oh, I can't do anything. Everything I've touched has not worked, has failed. What did you learn from it? What are the learnings from there? You're learning resilience. You're learning never to give up. You're learning that there are so many more options open in the world. This worked for this person, this didn't work for this person. There are so many things open to us. It's a question of us being resilient, holding on to our self belief that we can do it, and to move forward. But main thing, personally, for me, don't follow the herd mentality, because it almost always doesn't really work. Because every one of us is unique, and every one of us has different compulsions, different interests, different things that drive us. And it all goes back to our values, what we hold dear to us, what we live for, what we live by. So let your heart and mind, a combination of two, guide you. Don't let just one guide you. Let a combination of both guide you. You can never go wrong.
Yes, yes. On the same line, just the view that like we should not be conformist, like we should not just conform with what other people are proposing for us and just be completely influenced by what others are doing, but to, as you mentioned, that think about, introspect what heart and mind says for you and then go ahead. Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you.
You have native intelligence. I mean, don't just discard what everybody else is doing. See what they're doing. Everybody is curious. You want to know what's going on. You learn from all of that, and do what you do should be what's working for you, what you want to do. Learn from what everybody else is doing, but ultimately do what makes sense to you to do. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Yeah. Would you like to share your experience, like you mentioned about the trekking, and then we can talk about the key takeaways? Yeah.
Yeah. So, before I go on to trekking, there's something that I want to share for somebody who may be considering, huge life changes. I know I spoke about a lot of things I did and all of that. And if you kind of reflect on that, it's my logical mind talking. I'm an accountant, I'm a finance person, so I go one, two, three, four, five. But I would say just keep two things in mind if you're considering a change. Yeah. Embrace the uncertainty, but with a plan. Like I said, you need food on the table, you need roof over your head, and you need to sustain a certain level of living. So have a plan. Embrace the uncertainty, because there is uncertainty everywhere, right? Explore what that is, but explore it with a plan. Do your research, ask around, build a network, etc., before you take that decision. And second is build a support system. I cannot stress enough on having that support system. With these two, I think everything else will fall into place. Coming back to my trekking, the trekking was an interest that I developed again during this phase of introspection and reflection. Um, and I found that that was a great way to build resilience. And, if you're doing tough treks, you need to have the mental resilience to be able to take you forwards. Otherwise, your body can just give way. And it's your mind that almost always works with the body and takes you forward. So when we went on this trek last October, I must say I went with very little preparation. I definitely did underestimate the preparatory work that needed to go with the trek. So I went with my husband and a whole bunch of his, I wouldn't say friends, acquaintances. They were all doctors, lot of doctors. So that was a huge relief with the thing. And we took a longer route than the usual ones. We were going through a lot of these passes because the view from there was all really great. I was hit with should I say, altitude sickness. I didn't know it was altitude sickness. I thought altitude sickness meant you were short of breath and you would probably want to throw up, etc. But I had a huge digestive issue, which was painful, which stopped me from walking in places where I had to take a pony for short distances because my stomach just gave way and I just couldn't do it. So I think that is when I remember, there was one place where we were going to a place called Renjola Pass. Renjola Pass is at the same altitude as the Everest Base Camp. That is close to 5,400 meters above sea level. From the Renjola Pass, we have to go down to this beautiful lake called the Gokyo Lake. That is about 4,000 something meters above sea level. I remember there was this steep steps up a mountain range. I remember standing at the bottom and thinking, I am never going to do this. And then all I did was to bring back my mind to what I had set out to do. I was going to reach that piece of rock, which is called the Everest Base Camp. I had to do it. I had to do it for me. I wanted to do it. I wanted to experience the mountain ranges. So I just brought my mind back to why I had started doing something, brought my focus back into what drove this whole start of the journey. Why did I even embark on this journey? What was I getting out of this journey? What was that joy I was getting out of that journey? Reminded myself, and then I started. Yes, I had to stop at several places, but the end result, they say success is so much sweeter when you've kind of gone through a journey. I
Mm.
remember reaching this 5,400 and odd meters and the view of Mount Everest from there. I cannot explain that view. It was not just Mount Everest. There was this Labouche and a few other peaks. And if you turn to the left, I think you could see some peaks that were closer to China. It was amazing. And I actually, I patted myself in the back. Oh, that's one thing which I missed out in everything that I said. Learn to celebrate every small step that you take. Don't just, poo poo it off saying, anybody could have done it. No, you did it. Let's get real. You did it. So celebrate. So I remember standing up there and telling myself, Praveena, you did this. My goodness, look at that. It's just you and Mount Everest across. So, yeah, I think that was the highlight. And then we did a dance by the Gokyo Lake. There were about 7 of us women. So, in Indian costumes, there was one popular song. What is that, something about jumka something. So we did that dance. I still cherish that video. And finally, yes, we did. The last leg of the trek was extremely challenging on both the mind and the body. That was the last distance from Gorakshep to the to EBC. But the end result was just phenomenal. It was like me in the mountains, and I'm like, wow, you know, look at where I've reached. I should have been feeling insignificant next to all those mountain ranges, but let me tell you, I did not feel insignificant. I said, wow, Praveena, you're actually standing here. So I mean, I chose to look at it the other way, as against saying, oh, I'm insignificant, look at these mountains. I said, hey, mountains, look at me, I'm here. So I think all of that, I did reflect a little on that mindset after I got back. I think that came about purely from my coaching journey and everything that I have learned, life experiences over the years, but then I think everything I learned over the last 3 years. Yeah, that's my story of my
Yeah,
trek.
yeah. Thank you. Quite enriching, quite exciting and interesting. And I think
Thank you.
the takeaways that I was talking about with your with your this trekking experience, we can very much correlate with your experience. The takeaways, we can very much correlate the key takeaways of this session from your this trekking experience. First, you could have some doubt, but believe on yourself. Second, go ahead with the plan. Go ahead with the plan. Third, keep yourself motivated in the journey, and also keep enjoying and celebrating some little small steps and achievements, and just keep going on your journey with a purpose, with a direction, and you will and you will not know, actually cement in a very natural way. You will reach at the top of the, like, top of the Mount Everest, and you will realize, and the feeling that you will feel is nobody can feel it for you, that experience. So, and then you will be very excited and feel a lot of joy and enjoyment and happiness from within. From within, that is more important. So, and that change will also enrich your career as well as your life. So that I could correlate with your key takeaways from this
Beautifully
session.
summarized. Beautifully summarized. Beautifully summarized. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. And my sincere apology from all the audience. Though I've tried it from best of my efforts to make it very smooth, but from my end, I don't know why, but somehow my voice was breaking. So I will try to, yeah, settle all this thing from the next session. It, we will just have 1 minute. If there is any reflection or question, we can go ahead. Otherwise, we will like close the session. So I think, yeah, this earlier when we are talking about finding this topic, it's never too late to change your life. It, the topic itself was quite inspiring and interesting. That even I tried to modify it little bit for making it more relevant and brief for the topic. But it was, I could not find any other option and rephrase sentence. So. I would say, so already, because there was some question that I have already included the question in my reflection and the question that I've asked to you. So I would like to thank our special guest speaker, Ms. Praveena Pramod, for your time and your insight. And I'm also very grateful to our listeners and audience for bearing with the even little bit of technical disturbance, that they have listened to us very patiently. So thank you everybody for your time and engagement. And we will meet next episode. And I will try to include new and special guests and new topics from different walks of the life and career. Thank you everyone. Thank you,
Thank you.
Pravina ji.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.